Okay, welcome guys. We're going to start in just a moment. Go ahead and mosey on in. I'm going to share the video real quick and then we'll get started. If you're here, say hello. Today we're a little bit of a day off because today's video is in conjunction with the Great Beat Extravaganza Takeover over on their group page, and so we're doing something a little different today, and I hope you guys enjoy today's video. We're going to be making wire feathers. If you're here, say hello. I'd love to hear from you guys. All right, let me just share my video. 1 second. And if you guys are here, say hello. I'd love to hear from you. Okay. Well, I'm not seeing the video. 1 second. Make sure to say hello if you guys are here. Let me know where you're watching from today. I know a bunch of comments will all come at once. That's the way it goes. Okay, here's my video. Let me share this. I'm just having an uncooperative time on my Facebook page. Ooh, hello guys, hello. Hi Angela and Donna, Deanna, Lynn, hello. And Gerald, hot from New Mexico. Yeah, I can't even imagine how hot it is over there. It's like almost 80 degrees here today and I feel like I'm dying. Well, darn, I cannot get my video to share. If you're a tech-savvy person, would you guys share this video to the group page for the Great Beat the group to the Great Beat Extravaganza? Let me see if one of my buddies can do that for me. Sorry guys, I'll get started in just a second, I promise. Okay, I'm just gonna have to share the video later because it's already been almost 3 minutes and that's way long enough for you guys to have to wait to see me. Hi Susan, you're working now, and Linda, hello. And Linda Cooper and Lynn Stinky, they were the winners in my Humble Beads VIP party group this weekend for 2 different well, Linda was the drawing from last Friday's video, and then we have Lynn was the pet photo video winner. So I always like to do little gifts and freebies for my VIP Humble Beads group, so if you haven't joined that, jump on over and join that. Okay, let's get this party started. Are you guys ready? So this is the project we're gonna do. Just kind of an easy breezy little simple necklace that we're going to make, and we're gonna do feathers out of wire. So I'll share some little tips and tricks with you guys. Hi Karen and Laura from the UP, and Robin. Good morning guys. Hello. Susan, thank you so much for sharing it to the Great Beat Extravaganza group. I just can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I get a little help with my friends, from my friends. Yes. All right, let's start officially at 4 minutes in. Hello. I'm Heather Powers from Humble Beads, and I am a bead maker, jewelry designer, author, illustrator, and your all-around creative muse, and it's my job every week to get your jewelry, your beads off your bead table and into some jewelry. Oh, Brooke, you're doing a huge art fair this weekend in Plymouth, Michigan. Nice. Are you in it, or are you just going to shop? I love going to shop at art fairs. So much fun. All right. I sadly missed our town's big summer art fair, and now I have to wait for the blueberry festival to go to a craft fair, and that's more crafty. The summer July one is more artsy, but I live in a really small town, so we have more craft shows than art fairs. And if you're selling artisan made jewelry, hot tip, do art fairs instead of craft shows. You will do so much better, 100 times better. And hey, here's a freebie. If you're looking for shows and places to sell your work, find places where they're selling pottery, photography, any kind of ceramics, any kind of 2D or 3D art. That's going to be your crowd and where you want to go to sell your artisan made jewelry. You can sell at a craft show, but it's going to be more of a struggle, and they're not going to be really your target audience unless you make really cutesy, crafty jewelry. Nothing wrong with that. But I assume since you're here, you're into art beads and making artisan jewelry. And if you're a new introduction to artisan jewelry, well, I hope you enjoy today's segment and have fun. Okay, so you're gonna go work it. Oh no, the streets are closed, so you may not be able to work it. Judge shows are always better, Susan. That is such a good point. And also shows sponsored by art museums, artisan groups, art guilds. Those are the ones you want. Something to think about. All right, guys, let's get to the project at hand, which are these fun feathers. And here's my little guy. We're going to be using 20 gauge art metal colored wire, and this is Parawire. This is the Vintage brand. I looked on their website, and it looks like gunmetal is the color that's closest to this. Someone had mentioned they had bought smoky quartz, and it was more of on the coppery tones. So gunmetal is what this color is usually called. It's called gunmetal. And so Vintage calls it art metal because it matched a line of art metal components that they used to have, which they've discontinued, which was just sad because that was a great line, but that's okay. Now, if you don't have Parawire, you can use copper wire, and so you can practice with 20 gauge copper wire, and you can antique it to make it darker if you want. I don't recommend using other brands of the colored wire because we're going to be hammering, and Parawire for me does the best job of holding up to a little bit of beating. We're not going to be like hammering it to pieces because it will chip and show the copper underneath if we're not careful, but a little bit of hammering is fine. And you can kind of see that little coppery flash. So the center of the wire is copper and it's colored on the outside. And oh, you know what? I have 20 gauge. That's wrong. That's so wrong, you guys. So sorry about that. We need 18 gauge. 20 gauge is too thin of a wire, so we need the 18 gauge that has a little bit more of a heft to it. So I apologize for that. You need 18 gauge wire. So, woo, 18 gauge. That's what you need for this project. And you can use any wire that's Parawire, any color you want, or you could use, copper. You probably wouldn't want to use sterling silver if you're just practicing, but eventually you could use sterling silver if you wanted. You could use brass wire. So either a pure metal wire or Parawire is what I recommend. All right, now let's get on to the creating. I'm going to cut about 10 inches. I can't really remember how much I cut for this wire. I just kind of winged it yesterday when I was making. So we'll see if it's going to need more or less than 10 inches for this project. And all I'm going to be using are my hand tools today. So I have my chain nose pliers, and I have round nose pliers, wire cutters, and then I am going to be using a steel bench block and a ball peen hammer. So that's the scoop on that. going to move this stuff out of the way so that my camera won't keep trying to focus on it, because that's a little frustrating for everyone. I'm going to start pretty much in the middle here, and I'm going to make a V. Just a big V. Nothing fancy, just a V. Now, I want this V to be a little bit more pointy, so I'm going to take my pliers on the edge and give it a squeeze. Oh, a squeaky squeeze. And work to make this point a little bit more pointy. See how that's a little bit more pointy? So I'm going to do that just a few times here, just to get that a nice little point. And now I'm going to use my fingers and shape this to about the size that I want. And I will pull out, oh, here we go. I'll pull up my ruler so that I can tell you guys how big I am making things. So this first one that we're going to do, it's about 1 1/4 before we do the little loop. So that's what I'm going to get this guy to, about 1 1/4. Yep, that looks good. Now I'm going to square the top edges off just a little bit. See how I did that? I just took my pliers and bent that down just a little bit to square it off. And I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side. Just like a little bit of a more defined top on here. Now I'm going to take the larger side. So you see we have a shorter end of the wire and a longer end of the wire, and I'm going to take the longer end of the wire and just a little bit past the loop, I'm going to create a loop on here. Make sure it's right above the center of my feather, top of my feather here. And now I am going to grab the smaller wire and I'm going to wrap it around 2 times around the bottom here. I'm sorry, around my little loop. Oop. That got me a little bent out of shape. Oh, let me start over. You guys don't mind seeing that whole thing again. Oh. All right, starting in the center, make your V. Hey guys, you get to see an instant replay of how I did this. So just pinching the 2 sides closer and closer to the bottom and making that little V just a little bit more pointy. Okay, I'm gonna cross these guys over. Just gonna measure it real quick and see where that mark is. So I just bent that over and I'm gonna do the same on this side. So I have the 2 sides, and this guy's looking a little big. I'm gonna make him a little bit smaller here. And I'm not crazy about the shape at the bottom, so still going to try to tighten up this bottom here with a little bit more of a sharp point. There we go. I'm liking that a little better. Still a little big. There we go. Okay. That's pretty close to the size I have. Sorry about that. Give me a thumbs up if you guys always love me making a little mistake so you know what not to do. It's my lot in life. Okay, making this little loop on the top. And now I'm going to wrap the top around first, not the bottom. So that was my mistake. We need to get this shaped up a little before we do the bottom one. So I'm going to wrap that around 2 times, and now I'm going to leave that open still because I'm probably going to come back and wrap a few more times. Hold this so that your wire doesn't cross over too much. Some days your wire doesn't behave either, Lynn. Okay, I don't feel so bad. Okay, I'm just going to use my hands and wrap this around 2 times. Try to get this wrap a little bit tighter. Make sure things aren't moving around on me. That's the most important part of this wrap, is making sure things don't move. So I'm just going to trim off the back here. And pinch this in. Make sure that's not pointing down at all, but worked back up into this little bit of wire wrapping here. Okay, now I'm taking the other one and wrapping it around. Once or twice more. Oh, what am I doing wrong? That's not working out either. Okay, last try. I am a professional, I promise you guys. These would make cute Christmas lights. Especially how bulbous I've made that last one. Okay, let's try this again. I feel like I must get nervous when I'm in the TGBE group for some reason. Because I swear I don't make this many mistakes on my regular videos, but it's just the luck that I struggle so much. Alright, now I got my little ruler here, I'm just sizing it up. Okay, I know for sure that I did the bend on the top on both sides. That was important to me. Okay, I'm going to take this, the middle one, the longer one, and bend it in the middle. I'm going to start my loop in the middle and see if that makes a difference. Okay. Oh, probably not. All right. I'm going to wrap this around 2 times, nice and tight, maybe one more. Yeah, okay, 3 times. All right, now the trick, I don't want this to move around when it's on here, so I want to make sure I do tight little loops. And I'm just holding it tightly and using my fingers to wrap it around. And hallelujah, it did the trick. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for sticking with me through the struggle. I love you guys. So appreciate you hanging out with me, even when I'm just making a mess. Okay, so the trick was make sure your loop is in the middle, wrap the wire underneath your loop 2 to 3 times very tightly, and then make sure you're wrapping the other side of the wire on top of those first wraps really tightly. Getting the wire wrapped as tightly as possible around the center is the trick. And let's see, I did have, I'm just going to turn that to the front and back because I want this little guy to be front to back for my necklace design. Okay, now the easy part, the fun part, a little hammering. Got my steel bench block here and my ball peen hammer. Yes, Wanda. It's like when you make a great earring and then you go to make the second one and it's the problem child. Oh, yes, the pros do have hiccups for sure. Thank you guys. Thanks for loving me back. Okay, so I'm just going to do a light hammering evenly over the whole thing. I am not going to hammer the tip of the feather as much because that will round this out a little bit. And I think I am going to just make these top parts just a little bit more square. The important thing before you hammer is make sure this is shaped exactly like you want it before you start hammering. Once you hammer, game over, you got what you got. But before you hammer, you can still tweak it and play around a little bit. So make sure you're happy with your leaf when you're ready. Then you can start hammering. And I'm hammering evenly over the whole surface. And I'm going to flip it over and hammer the back. And pop quiz. Why do we hammer? Leave it in the comment if you know why I'm hammering. All right, I'm going to flip it over again, hammer gently. Now I'm not trying to hammer it really flat, I'm just trying to get a nice even hammer over the whole surface. All right, that feels good. Okay, yes, look at all you smarties. You knew it. So it is work hardening. Yes, thank you. Or annealing. Oh, well, actually, I'm not sure if annealing, is it annealing? To harden it. Yes, when you hammer, you harden. So, Lynn, harden while annoying the cats. And Cheryl, I like that. So it's not all wishy-washy. That's right. So the hammering, especially if you're going to use this component in a necklace, you don't want it to have any bend in it. You want it to be nice and sturdy. So there's that guy. I'm going to do 2 more. Well, we'll see. I'm going to use 6 gauge. I want to do 2 for a little pair of earrings. So let's see if we can figure out doing a little pair of earrings. So what I'm going to do, and these are 6 inches ish. I went to art school, so I didn't have to learn math. Okay, I'm going to bend these at the same spot. Here we go. Now I'm going to tighten them up, the corner, pinching in on each side, getting it as close to the edge of the pliers as I can to make that sharper point. And I'm going to keep going back and doing that. Okay, I'm going to work these both at the same time so that we have pretty much the same earring. I like to say if your earrings are a little bit different, the only person that should notice is someone who's going to kiss you. And then they shouldn't be really paying attention to your earrings anyways, right? Just a thought. They don't have to be perfect. No one's going to pull up a tape measure next to your earlobe. And if they do, you have permission to shoo them away. Okay. All right, now let me get this one bent over. And I want to make this one probably a little bit smaller than 1.5 inches. So I'm going to bend that. Yep, about 1.5 inches here. Ooh, well, maybe I better do 1.25 inches. I don't think I quite saved myself enough wire here. Okay. Gonna repeat the same thing on the other side so we can get these as close as possible. Okay, and now I'm going to bend them both over. Okay. Do you guys have any tips or tricks for making things exactly the same shape and size? Using a jig would be my top tip, but not everyone has access to a jig, so that doesn't always work. Just want to make this guy a little bit more pointy, like his buddy over here. Okay. All right, that seems good enough. Oh, Karen, that's beautiful. Earrings are sisters, not twins. Oh, I love that so much. Thank you. You've totally made my day. Okay, so I'm going to bend up in the center here. So that's the first step. You're going to bend the wire so your thing is in the center. And now I'm going to create my little loop. I'm going to bend this back so that my loop is straight above. And now we're going to grab our loop and wrap around 2 times very tightly underneath the loop. And I'm going to trim that off and tuck it in, maybe. There we go. And now I'm going to hold on to this very tightly, making sure my wire's not moving around. And I'm going to wrap this around 2 times very tightly, going up towards the loop. There we go. And now it's nice and secure. That little guy's not going anywhere. Very happy with him. And I'm going to cut this off at the back. Tuck it in. And then this one is ready for hammering, but let's get this other little guy. Ooh, and let's see. I'm not sure which way I want to turn this yet, so I'm not going to mess with him just yet. Okay. I feel like my edges are a little bit straighter on the other one. Okay. I'm going to make that just a little bit shorter. There we go. All right, seems close enough. Now I'm going to take this in the center, pull it up so it's right there in the middle. I'm going to make my little loop. Then I'm going to pull the loop so that it's straight above my little wire area. And sometimes they're cousins. Thank you, Jessica. Oh, all right. Now we're going to grab the loop and wrap your wire underneath the loop 2 times tightly. Trim it off in the back. Close it up. And now, just going to make sure that looks right. Okay. Good enough. All right, so you're going to hold on to it very tightly. Make sure it's not moving, and you're going to wrap this around 2 times tightly, going towards your loop. And that will give you a nice secure wrap so your little feather isn't going to fly off anywhere. Okay. Now's the time to look at them, decide if you're going to do any shaping to them. And I would just make little changes at this point. I wouldn't try to do a lot of rearranging. All right. I'm thinking those are cute enough. Right. A little finessing. Remember, once you hammer, it's over. All right, same thing. I'm going to hammer on both sides several times, flipping over back and forth. I'm going to try to avoid the tip there. Went flying on me. And I'm going to do the tip just a tiny bit because I don't want it to be completely rounded wire at the bottom. Okay, that's looking good. Now, another little trick I have for you is you can take your Sharpie marker, and wherever there's a little copper bit sticking out, you can just color it with your Sharpie and it will fade into the background. And I'm going to do that on all 3 of these. That way, if your design turns around at all, you won't have that little tiny flash of copper, which I just do not like seeing. It's a little pet peeve of mine. Okay, let me hammer my other feather here. And there's definitely a front and a back here, so make sure you're looking at the front. I'm going to do just a little bit more hammering. Okay, so there's my two earrings, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it off camera and show you guys the finish later, but I have little glass birds, which for some reason I don't have any right next to me, so I'm going to use some little glass birds with these guys. Funky Halloween fingers. That's funny, Lynn. Oh, now if you wanted to, you could totally paint these wire frames with the vintage Colorful Soul or patina paints. Give them a little color. All right, so let's get back to creating the necklace and finishing this guy off. What I'm going to do, let's turn him around the correct way. There we go. All right, I'm going to take a piece of the 18 gauge wire. I have my little purple bird, a minty what do you call it, disc bead, and my branch style. And here is a little pewter nest from Green Girl Studios, designed by Green Girl Studios. And on the back, I don't know if you guys can see that. There we go. It says home. How precious and sweet is that? So I have my July color challenge. So if you're wondering where these colors are coming from, they're coming from my July color challenge. And you guys can join my Humble Beads VIP group and then create a piece of jewelry inspired by the color challenge for the month using products from humblebeads.com. And then I draw a winner at the end of the month for a $50 gift certificate. So this is my little inspiration from that. I'm going to use some 4mm English cut glass beads here, check glass. And this is a dark navy with a Picasso finish. And I'm going to use 5 beads and about, I'm just going to use about 8 inches of 4-ply wax linen. So this is the thicker 4-ply wax linen that's on here. And before I do this, I'm going to put all my components together. Okay, I'm going to grab about 8 inches of the 20 gauge wire. Going to make a wrapped loop on the bottom here. I have about 2 inches of wire on the bottom and making a wrapped loop. Just wrapping around 2 times tightly and then 2 times messy. So this is the messy loop or entwined loop. I think that's what I called it in my book one time. You know, make it poetic, not just messy. Okay, now I'm going to thread on the pewter nest. I have a little glass O bead, which I love to use as spacers. So I'm going to slip on the disc bead, and then the O bead, and my bird. I like to have something between a spacer of some kind between 2 beads that aren't metal. So the metal one I won't use any spacers, but I used a spacer in between the 2 beads. Okay, so Christine, this is the parawire from Vintage, And so this is the vintage branded art metal. And then the parawire that you can find at parawire.com is called gunmetal, and that's the color that's the equivalent of this. So you can get this from Vintage or Parawire. And so on the Vintage website it's called art metal, and on the Parawire website it's called gunmetal. So hopefully that answers your question earlier. Good. All right. So now on the top here, let's see what I did. I did, the bottom one is going front to back, and the top little loop is going to be left to right. So I'm going to, this is always so tricky to do underneath the camera away from me, but I'm going to do my best. So I'm going to grab the wire and wrap it around to make the loop, and then grab the little loop, and I'm going to wrap around 2 times tightly above the bird, and then wrap around 2 times on top of those first 2 wraps to make it messy. Okay, and this should feel pretty tight. I got a little fuzz there. This should feel pretty tight. These little beads shouldn't be roaming around the country. They should feel pretty tight on your wrap here. And I'm going to pinch that little guy in. I'm going to turn these beads the right way. So the bottom one I want to go front to back, and then the top one is going to be side to side, and I have this backwards, so I'm going to do just a little cheating trick, and I'm going to turn my wire. I just did a little turn of the wire, not enough, so you're going to grab one side and hold it tight, and then turn the other end so that you get this turned around. Maybe. Let's try this again. Okay, there we go. Got the front to back on the bottom, and then the side to side on the top. All right, now I'm going to, did I do that wrong? I did. So we want them both to be front to back on the top and the bottom. So one more tiny twist. Okay. And this got a little bent out of shape, so ideally you'd be paying attention and not need to twist your wire around. Okay. I may redo that later because I feel like there's too much give in there now. Always have more wire than you need on hand. Wire's cheap. Okay, I'm going to close that up. Now on the bottom here, I'm going to use a teeny little 5mm jump ring. Add on my leaf. Hi Kimberly, welcome. Hi Dawn. Glad you guys could join us. We're almost done here. You missed all my flubs. Oh, it's okay. All right, so that's a 5mm jump ring, and this is an 8mm jump ring. And I'm gonna throw on this little charm. My feather, and then I'm going to slip it on to the end of my pendant here. Close that up. And I'm going to do my knotting on the 8mm jump ring on this side of my little feather. Going to make a loop. So I folded this in half. This is 4-ply wax linen. Make a loop, stick it through my jump ring, and pull the two ends through the loop. Give that a nice tug, and this is the lark's head knot. And I did it backwards, so let me do that again. So I'm going to stick it through to the front. Watch, it'll be exactly the same. No. So I have my loop, I've pulled it through to the front from the back. Yep, I did it the same again. Okay, from the front to the back. Open up. You guys, you know what my problem is? I don't drink coffee, and I'm pretty tired today. I should have had some caffeine. There we go. So going from the front to the back, tying the lark's head knot. And now I'm going to grab one of the strands. Make sure you twist that nice and tight. String on your bead. Pull it all the way down. Then you're going to grab the two strands together, wrap it around your finger, pull the two strands through to make a knot. And you want to make sure this knot that you're pushing it all the way down so it's nice and tight against your bead. And you're going to repeat this 5 times. Okay, so Marcia, the kit system, do you mean for my Great Bead Extravaganza kit? Let me know if that's what you mean, and I will answer your question. Wanda, I usually know which way to go, which is from the front to the back, but I question myself. For some reason, I don't know why. All right. And I'm using one of the colors, a contrasting color, which is one of the colors of my challenge piece. So this is the peachy copper color that's in my color challenge. And it works because in color theory, blue and orange are complements. So they work that way. And then the purple works well because purple is right next to blue on the color wheel. And it's called an analogous color when a color is right next to each other on the color wheel. So if you can stick to complements in which are across each other on the color wheel in analogous colors, it works. It's an easy, foolproof color combination. And then so you have blue, green, and purple are all next to each other on the color wheel. And that's why that works. And then you have the complement of blue with the peach. Okay, I'm going to give this a little tiny haircut. with my very dull scissors. And I'm going to untwist my strands to make these fringy. All right. There it is, my friends. My cute little feather pendant. It was a struggle today. Thanks for supporting me through it. I really appreciate it. Super cute. And I just did a little leather cord on the top. Okay, so Marcia is asking about my monthly kits. And so at the beginning of each month, I do a kit of the month. And then at the end of the month, we do the project together. Well, this month is a little bit different because the project that we're doing is in conjunction with the Great Bead Extravaganza. So right now, this is the kit that we're doing for the Great Bead Extravaganza, which is going to be the live video is going to be July 24th, which is a Sunday at 12:45, and you can watch the video at any time after it's live. You can go back and watch it as you're creating your piece. You can watch it at your leisure anytime after it's recorded, or you can join us live. Totally up to you. So I do pre-orders at the beginning of the month for usually the first 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how many weeks are in the month. And so this one will be doing pre-orders until July 15th, and then on the 15th we'll be sending out the kits, and then on the 24th we'll be making the project together. So at the beginning of the month I offer the the kit of the month, which this month is this nautical knots that I have in 3 different colorways. And then at the end of the month, usually the last Wednesday, but things are different this month because of the Great Bead Extravaganza, we're going to be doing the 24th at 12:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll be posting that schedule lots of times between now and then. And there'll also be a little sticker on your kit that will have the reminder, so that you won't have to just remember it. It'll be on your kit when your kit arrives. And so that's how it works. Kits do sell out, and once they're sold out, that's it. It's a limited edition kit every month, and then we don't offer it anymore, just because it's a limited edition. That's the that's the way it goes. So Marcia, let me know if you had any other questions about that, if that answered your question. Oh, great question there. The Great Bead Extravaganza is you can look up the group on Facebook, the Great Bead Extravaganza, and I'll post a link to it. It's a Facebook group. It's a community of 14 jewelry designers who work for various companies or own their own companies. Like, I'm an artisan, so I own my own company, and there's several other artists who are bead makers in the group. And then there's a few bead stores, and then there's a few designers who work for larger companies, and we all get together on the Great Bead Extravaganza events, which are 4 times a year, and we do free projects for the whole weekend. So it's kind of like an online retreat for the whole weekend, and we have 7 presentations one day and 7 the next day, and you get a whole weekend of free projects. And you can go back and watch the projects at any time, and it's just a fun way for us to network and help inspire you guys. It kind of takes the place of bead shows that we miss so much doing. So that is what the Great Bead Extravaganza is all about. And I will post a link to that, and you can also just look up the Great Bead Extravaganza. We have a website, a Facebook page, a YouTube channel, and a Facebook group. So lots of ways to connect with us, and such a talented group, you guys. So many fabulous projects. I watch it during the weekend when we do the events, and I learn stuff all weekend, even though I've been making jewelry for almost 30 years. So it's definitely a wonderful event. And again, like I said, you can watch the videos live, or you can return and watch them over the next week. or whenever you want to come back and watch the projects. And most of the people doing the presentations, there's a kit for the project. So if you want a kit for the project and follow along with them, you can go to the Great Bead Extravaganza and look up the kits, and they'll all be on there. Aaron, it's so nice to see you here. Sure miss you. All right, guys, just a few more housekeeping things that I wanted to share with you guys. So this weekend is our last weekend for made to orders for the faux tin pieces. The faux tin pieces are images on copper that are permanently adhered to the copper, and this little batch are Van Gogh paintings, which I absolutely love. He's my favorite artist in the whole world of all time. And so we have irises, almond blossoms, his sunflowers, and his starry nights. And this is the last weekend to place your pre-orders for these, or they're called made to orders, the MTOs. And Jesse makes each one of these made to order. It takes him about 6 weeks to fill your order, just so that you guys know that. So that's something I wanted to tell you guys about. Wanda, I love that. The Great Bead Extravaganza is like a virtual Comic-Con for beady peeps. Yes, that's fabulous. Oh, Karen, I'm going to finish those little my little earrings. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a little tiny disc bead and then a bird, or if I'm just going to do the little glass birds, you know, the ones that I offer in my shop, the little check glass birds. So I'll post a picture of these on my Facebook group so you guys can see them when they're done, because I left my birds on my other table. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Beads and kits you guys can find at humblebeads.com. We will be throwing in a little sample of waxed linen with your orders from today since we're doing the Great Bead Extravaganza takeover on their page today. So our free gift today, no matter what size order you place, is going to be a sample of the waxed linen. Oh, and someone had asked, Christine asked, is that 2-ply wax linen? Christine, this was 4-ply. So thanks for asking that, and I'm glad I could remember to get back to that. And then Humble Beads VIP Party Group, that's my group where you guys can come get lots of inspiration through the month. We do the color challenge, which is super fun. I love seeing what you guys make. That's where we share all sorts of jewelry, and it's just a super fun and encouraging group. I love them to pieces, so you'll want to make sure you join that group. And then my next event will be Friday. We'll be doing my, tomorrow, wow, this week, 4-day work weeks are a little challenging. So tomorrow we're going to be doing the Humble Beads coffee break at 3 p.m. and I have some new things to share with you guys. And so join us for that. All right. That's all. I've hit my 1 hour mark. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Head over to the Great Bead Extravaganza page. Make sure you join the group. We do a big giveaway on the Great Bead Extravaganza weekend where everyone has, all the 14 companies or artisans or bead shops have sent in prizes, and we do 3 big huge swag bag giveaways, and I sent in some really beautiful humble beads, and so it's fun to try to win that. I will also be doing a giveaway on the Great Bead Extravaganza page today for a $50 gift certificate, so head on over, join us for some fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Kits are limited edition. They're almost sold out. So if you want one of those, go ahead and grab one today. And that's it. Have a good week.